Hey guys, so another week, another elementary episode. This week was called We Are Everyone, and it it reminded me a lot of the Fifth State or WikiLeaks scandal. Um, it actually made me laugh because that's how much it reminded me of it. Um, because first 15 minutes of the episode were um, brought into this scenario. There's this guy, his name's Ezra, and he's typing on his I think it was an iPad or a tablet or something, and he's talking about how people will want to know who he is after this, and so there's these people after him apparently, because the cabbie, he's like, man over here, he's like, oh sorry, I was distracted because he was typing, and then there's these people coming after him, and so he sends a file to someone, and he's like, and then the cat, because he like runs out the cab without paying, and then the cat was like, hey, he went that way, and the guy you're after went that way, and I was like, oh my god, this is so reminiscent of the WikiLeaks scandal. It's ridiculous. Um, but it was a really good episode. I liked it. So what happens in the episode is Sherlock and Watson, they go after the guy, but there's a lot of different twists to this story. The story is that this Ezra guy, he leaked a whole bunch of government secrets, and there's this man who came to Holmes to ask for his help in making the guy, basically bring him justice, bring him to him, and their company will do whatever they want to do with him. But turns out this guy isn't telling the truth entirely. He's a former operative, and he also gave Sherlock a false name. I guess in order to hide who he was, but and then Sherlock knew. He found out because he had a suspicion about the man, mostly because he's a horrible backhanded player, and he threw on the facade of a German man. And so before that, Watson had just came home from, she went out with one of her friends who had a child, and they were at a park, and they were just out and about, and Sherlock kept sending her these pictures of like crime scenes he made using doll houses and like dolls in weird places. There was one where there was a doll with her head stuck in an oven, and Watson would just like reply with cause of death and how it was done or whatever, like basically how he saw the murder. And I think she got like 3 or 4 of them, and her friend was like, you need to get out more if this cannot be your life. And Watson was like, it's not so bad. And then her friend had given her like a trial for like this dating website called True Romantics, which I think is funny. And so when she got to the place, she met the guy, the fake German, or he might have been German actually, but he seemed like a fake German. And the case started, and throughout the case, Sherlock and Watson, they come into trouble with this people, which kind of helps with the name of this episode, We Are Everyone. There's these people who are behind Ezra's back, basically. People who see him as an idol, as a hero, who don't want any harm to come to him because he's done something that most people don't think of. He's committed espionage within the company. And I guess releasing government secrets in that way paved the way for what he wanted in the beginning of the episode. He wanted people to know who he was. And let's see. So one of the major things that happened is the people Sherlock spent a whole night on this website or this forum called Jamaica Keys. It looks like Jamaica something else. It says Jamaica and it's QUAYS. I think that said something differently, but that's the way he said it, so I'm gonna say it that way. And so there are all these people who are talking about Ezra and talking about how great he is and how much, like, and he found out that one of them was hiding him or knew where his whereabouts were, where he was hiding. And so he got into like discussion with them about that, tried to get arguments. He found out the woman was the person behind the username was a woman, because they don't use real names, and there's no way to like actually see where they are unless you look at their what is it called, their IP address. But Sherlock wasn't doing that. He was just trying to find information. He found out it was a woman, and before that, they found out that it was that they met with this woman named Cecilia. Cecilia was she was a journalist who worked with Ezra many times before. Ezra would send her information. He would leak information specifically to her so that she would tell it instead of it coming from himself, I guess. And turns out she knew something. She had been in contact, but she said she wasn't in contact with him. But there were some tells that Watson even caught on. Watson was the one just like, for a journalist, she really doesn't know how to lie. And I thought that was funny. So we're seeing Watson be more, be more deductive and the like. And so turns out, so they basically were like tailing her. They stayed in this they sat down at this cafe that was like right across from the building, and while they're there, they're talking about, because Watson brought up the idea of the True Romantics, the dating website that her friend put her on, and they're talking, and they were he's like, he basically saying he doesn't mind, but he's like, I know you won't bring anyone to the house. And Watson, they have a discussion about I like how she's saying how she wants a little bit more out of her life. She wants someone to know her outside of him, outside the relationship. She cares for Sherlock, and obviously he cares for Watson, but she wants to see if there's anything else out there for her. But they have an understanding that it's not each other, not in the romantic sense. They have a wonderful friendship, and how that goes. And but so Watson was looking through all these profiles later in the episode, and her computer fritz. Before that, I need to go back. Okay, so when they were sitting around across the cafe, Charlotte, he like brought her attention away from that whole situation, and they saw Cecilia trading bags with the doorman of the building, and so Sherlock, he's like, look at that. And so they decided to get the phone of the doorman, and Sherlock, he pickpocketed basically. And so they ended up frying the phone. Before they could fry the phone, all these people, before they fried the phone, all these people ended up like getting into their system, getting into their like internet lives and their bank accounts and all that. They had pizzas coming to the house. They had all these weird things happening, like to the point they had to unplug their whole everything in their house and not use it anymore. Their cell phone wasn't working anymore, lots of stuff. And so during this, because Holmes, he went around the house unplugging everything, and there was a knock on the door, and Watson was like, what? Who could that be? And so he goes to the door, and it's one of the guys who she had seen. His name was Jeffrey, because I remember she said Jeffrey, whoever, was kind of cute, so she went back at him because he went at her on the website. So he's at the door, and she's like, because he introduced himself, and he's like, I got some very nice messages, and it was nice talking to you. And she's like, and he's like, but I got some very weird messages that just didn't sound right, so I wanted to come check up on you, make sure you're okay. She's like, that's so nice of you. And she's like, that's really sweet. And yeah, that definitely wasn't me. We're having a little issues over here. But it was very nice for you to come stop by. And it's like, and I guess they made a date basically, which they go on later on in the episode. And so then Watson goes back inside, and Sherlock's like, yeah, we can't really use anything anymore. So basically, they have to do all their stuff like manually or whatever. And so he found a loophole, which is use the generator and use the neighbor's Wi-Fi and whatever for them to be able to use it. So the way they end up tracking down the guy is, so he gets back on the farm as his username is sholmes221b. That gave him away, but anyway, before that, when they found out who the woman was who was hiding away Ezra for a time, and so they went to her house, and she unlocked the door because no one was answering, and the woman was dead, like she had been killed. And so, you know, Gregson and Detective Bell came into the scene, and they investigated, and they found a box, this weird box. This box, what they didn't see it at the beginning, but it had like a book in there, a book of one of the authors who was Ezra's favorite, along with a few other things that people who would either be traveling or trying to get out of Dodge would want, like travel guides and maps and all that kind of stuff. And so Holmes basically was like, something weird about that. So they ended up going, when they go back to the station later, he's like, I need to look in that box. And Bell's like, there's no forensic evidence. He's like, I know, but there's something else. So they end up flipping over the box. The box has the letters stenciled in OCD, not actual OCD. I mean, it's the name of the company, an old company from way back in the day that had bunkers for people during the Holocaust, to like safe houses basically, and there ended up being 41 of those in New York City. And so they went to this guy who Sherlock knew was an expert on like basically the whole area of New York throughout time. He's been working on this book for like his whole entire life. And so Sherlock's like, okay, we're gonna go visit this guy. And so he's like, but do not ask him about his manuscript, because I've tried that before and that was not a good idea. So ends up, the guy gives him 2 lists, even though he says it probably won't help him. But Sherlock, of course, he finds the one thing the guy missed. So there's the decommissioned bunkers, and then there's the and then the regular decommissioned bunkers. The decommissioned list has 40 names on it. The commission list has 41. They found the one that didn't. It was under Brooklyn Bridge. And so they called Gregson and had the team go down there and see if they could find the guy. Like, well, they couldn't call him because, of course, all their like connections in the electronic world are down, like their phones and everything. So they found a traveling policeman on a bike and grabbed him. And they grabbed him, and he's like, excuse me, I need you to get a message to Captain Gregson. And he basically told him where to go or whatever. And I guess the guy got the message to him. Ends up that the guy, Ezra, wow, I can't talk right now, Ezra is no longer there anymore. Like, the only thing they found was a card that says, it has like all these different people on it, and it says, we are everyone, which is basically the group of people who are shadowing Ezra. And actually, the same thing that popped up on Watson's computer when it fizzed out. And so they ended up. So they had to find a different way to figure out where he had gone. So that's when he went back to the forums to try to see if he could find anything out. And there was this this man who oh well, some people were like, you won't find Ezra, or they used his last name. I just can't remember. It's a very weird name. I can't remember for the hell of me what it was called. But so they find the man. They're talking, and he's like, Ezra's, it's so far away. You won't be able to find him. He's long gone. Then they're just this one user told him, was like, everyone shut up, we shouldn't even be talking to him. And Holmes is trying to figure out why shouldn't they be talking to him. And it turns out, so he searches this name of this guy, of the username of the guy, and he ends up being the third child between Loki and, oh god, I can't remember. It's basically Loki's third child, like in Norse mythology. And I know a bit about Norse mythology because I'm a fan of mythology, and so I thought that was clever how they tied that in there. And so they went ahead and he's like, it's this. He told her about like what it was, and then he showed I forgot, there was another diagram or something. Oh no, it was this. They found out who that guy was. He was like this $1 billion creator of this program, and so that's who was behind the username. And so they went and they found out he was the one who had or he had helped Ezra. Like, he's about to leave the country. He's about to get on his plane, the guy's plane, and go to Venezuela to escape, basically. And so everyone on the floors, and Sherlock and Watson, they got out there. They went to the airport where he was supposed to be letting the guy go, but they got him. But that wasn't it, because he had some basically something more against the world. He had 14 names of 14 different operatives that would die if he was not let go. And he had a dossier that he's like, look, there's some names here, but there's 12 more that you don't know of, and if you don't let me go, they will die. Because he had information, basically. Like, if you call that number on the sticky note, you do what Greg's saying, and then you will know that what I say is true. And Greg's like, you gotta let him go. So they have to let him go, and he gets to get on the plane and leave. But that's at the end. Watson grabs him before he goes, and she's like, we'll find a way to pin you on the murder of Vanessa, who was the lady who he was staying with. And so basically he gets let go, but they find, because Watson ended up pocketing him. She took his watch, and Holmes was like, we haven't even got to that whole thing. Cookie hasn't taught her how to pickpocket. She's like, I had time. I taught myself how. Which I thought was funny. And so they used that for epithelial DNA to see if they could match him, and they did. So he ended up, like, I think it was like the next day or something, or a few days, he ended up coming back to the States and being charged with murder and espionage. So case closed, basically. And then we come back to, oh well, I forgot to tell you guys. Okay, when he was telling her about the Loki Norse stuff, you know that it was the morning and Watson had went to bed, and so she comes down and Charlotte's using like the fireplace to he's using the fireplace to make breakfast. Like, he has all these different things. He had this table, which is weird. It was like slanted. I thought it was just weirdly slanted, but it like rotates. And so he has the kettle on there. He has like a skillet on there. It's covered. And then I think he has something else. So every time he would turn it toward the fire, and he would, like, it would cook or whatever. And so Holmes, and so he would just keep making stuff for her, and she's happy. It was cute. But anyway, so they have all the electricity back on now at the end of the case, and so it's safe, and no one's trying to mess with them again. And so Watson, she goes on a date, and when she comes back, I hate this part so much because the ending pissed me off. That's the one thing I don't like about this episode. So in the end, so Juan comes back from her date and she's like, it was an okay date. I don't know if any sparks flew, but it was pretty good. And so she's like, I wish you didn't say you giving up on love, whatever. Because they had a discussion about her again, because she says she doesn't think he's actually dealing with it. And this part, like, it killed me. She was like, I wish that you weren't, I wish I wasn't the only one that knew you. And I was like, oh god, this killed me. And he's reading a letter that came from, I think it was Watergate. I think that's what it was. It's the prison, basically. And I knew who it was from immediately before they went back to him reading it after Watson went up to bed. And it was from Jamie Moriarty, i.e. Irene. And oh man, she basically wants him to write to her, and like, I just don't want that for him. I don't, because last season was hard, especially after he found out he had to put her in jail because of that. And he loved her. We know he loved her, but I don't think it'll be a good thing for him. Moriarty isn't out his life clearly now. We know that she sent him, she sent him a letter trying to get his attention, and I don't want him to go down that road because it will end badly. And Watson doesn't know that she sent him anything because it didn't address it from Jamie Moriarty. It just said Waterloo. That was the sender's address, and then had Sherlock Holmes on it or whatever. And so I just think it's gonna be pretty bad, and I don't know what's gonna happen to the rest of the season. It's gonna be bad. I know that for sure. So yeah, I'm sorry guys. It's a lot of jumpy. My mom kept coming in here while I was recording, so I had to keep cutting it and trying to see what she wanted and cut it. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.